Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason why the strongest women face the hardest battles. It is not because they are weak. It is not because they have done something wrong. It is because God is preparing them for something greater than they can imagine. A woman who is called by God cannot live an ordinary life. She cannot walk the easy path because the anointing on her life demands refinement. The battles she faces are not to destroy her, but to equip her. Every trial, every tear, every betrayal, these are not signs of failure, but evidence of her destiny. The strongest women in history were not handed their greatness. They were tested. They were pressed on every side. They walked through storms that others would have drowned in. But they did not break. They did not give up. Because deep inside, they carried something far greater than pain. They carried purpose. Pain is the price of growth. The fire is not meant to burn her. It is meant to purify her. Just like gold is refined in the furnace, a strong woman is refined in adversity. Every battle she endures is shaping her character, increasing her wisdom, and deepening her faith. And let me tell you this, the enemy does not attack what is weak. He does not fight what is not a threat. The very fact that she faces so much opposition is proof that she is dangerous, that she is called, that she carries something powerful. The devil would not fight her so hard if she was not destined for something great. There will be seasons where she feels alone, abandoned, and misunderstood. But these moments of isolation are not punishment, they are preparation. God pulls his strongest daughters aside, away from the noise, away from the distractions, because he is building something in them that cannot be shaken. And when she reaches the other side of her battle, she will see that nothing was wasted. Every scar will tell a story. Every struggle will serve a purpose. She will stand victorious, not because she was never knocked down, but because she refused to stay down. She will rise stronger than before with a testimony that will inspire generations. The hardest battles are proof that God is not finished with her. They are the evidence that something powerful is being birthed in her life. So let her not fear the storm, for she was made to walk on water. Let her not despise the fire, for she was made to shine like gold. Let her not surrender to the battle, for she was made to win. The journey of a strong woman is never accidental. Every challenge, every struggle, and every delay serves a purpose in the hands of God. Before elevation, there must be preparation. A woman who is destined for greatness cannot be rushed into her calling without first being refined. God does not place an untrained soldier on the battlefield, and he does not release an unprepared woman into her divine assignment. When God calls a woman, he does not immediately take her to the palace. He first leads her into the wilderness. This is the place where her faith is tested, where her strength is stretched, and where her endurance is built. She faces battles that seem unbearable, not because God is punishing her, but because he is molding her into the vessel he needs her to be. A woman cannot carry the weight of a great calling with a weak foundation. Her trials are not meant to break her, but to strengthen her for what is ahead. God allows delays, disappointments, and betrayals because they teach her to trust him alone. When doors close, when people leave, when nothing seems to be working, it is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of preparation. The stronger the foundation, the taller the building can stand. He is working behind the scenes, shaping her character, increasing her wisdom, and developing her resilience. If she is to lead, she must first learn to follow. If she is to inspire others, she must first learn to endure hardship with grace. There are no shortcuts to true greatness. The waiting season is not wasted time, it is training time. God hides his strongest women before he reveals them to the world. The battles she faces today are equipping her for the victories she will win tomorrow. A woman who is chosen for a great purpose cannot escape the refining process. Pressure is not designed to destroy her. It is designed to reveal her strength. Just as a diamond is formed under intense heat and pressure, a woman's true power emerges through the weight of her struggles. Without pressure, there is no transformation. Without resistance, there is no growth. God allows seasons of pressure because he knows what is inside her. He knows the potential buried within, waiting to be uncovered. Comfort never produces strength. Ease never builds endurance. It is in the moments of deep struggle that she discovers her capacity to rise. When life presses against her with trials, disappointments, and setbacks, it is not a sign that she is weak. It is evidence that something greater is being formed within her. Pressure forces her to dig deeper, to rely not on her own strength, but on the power of God working within her. It pushes her beyond what she thought she could endure, breaking limitations she once believed were unmovable. When she is under pressure, she learns resilience. She learns patience. She learns to stand firm when everything around her is shaking. The trials she faces are not random. They are a refining fire, burning away fear, insecurity, and doubt, leaving behind a woman who is unshakable. The weight she carries today is shaping her into the warrior she was meant to be. The crushing seasons are not a curse. They are preparation for the greatness ahead. Every tear, every sacrifice, and every hardship is strengthening her for the battle she is destined to win. A woman who has never been tested can never be trusted with greatness. The greater the pressure, the greater the power she will walk in. Pain is never without purpose. A woman who carries a great calling must first walk through seasons of suffering, not as a punishment, but as preparation. There is no true greatness without struggle, no deep wisdom without wounds, and no real strength without sorrow. Every woman used by God has had to endure pain before stepping fully into her purpose. Pain teaches what comfort never could. It refines, humbles, and shapes a woman into someone who can handle the weight of her destiny. It removes distractions, strips away pride, and forces her to depend entirely on God. The things she thought would break her are actually building her. The betrayals, the losses, the heartbreaks, none of them are wasted. They are tools in the hands of a divine sculptor, shaping her into the woman she was meant to be. A woman who has suffered deeply gains a heart of compassion. She understands struggle, and that understanding makes her a source of strength for others. The very pain she once begged God to remove becomes the testimony that helps others heal. She cannot lead without first learning how to endure. She cannot uplift others without first knowing what it feels like to be broken. God does not allow pain without purpose. Every hardship she faces is part of a greater plan. The trials she endures today are the foundation for the impact she will have tomorrow. Her purpose is birthed in the very places where she once felt abandoned, forgotten, and overlooked. When the time is right, she will look back and realize that the pain was never meant to destroy her. It was preparing her for something far greater than she could have imagined. A woman who carries a great destiny will always face opposition. The enemy does not waste his attacks on those who are not a threat. The very fact that she faces resistance, betrayal, and obstacles is proof that she is walking in the direction of her divine assignment. The forces that rise against her are not random. They are strategic attempts to derail her from the path God has set before her. Opposition is not a sign of failure. It is confirmation of purpose. Every great woman of God, from Esther to Deborah, from Ruth to Mary, had to endure opposition before stepping into their calling. The attacks, the rejection, and the misunderstandings are not meant to weaken her. They are meant to strengthen her resolve. A woman destined for impact cannot afford to be fragile. She must learn to stand firm in the face of adversity, to push forward when everything around her is trying to hold her back. The enemy fights what he fears. If she were insignificant, she would not be a target. The trials she faces are not because she is weak, but because she carries something powerful. The doors that seem to be closing, the people who rise against her, and the hardships she endures are all proof that she is walking in her divine calling. The greater the opposition, the greater the destiny. God allows opposition not to break her, but to prove her. Every battle is an opportunity to grow stronger, to deepen her faith, and to sharpen her character. The resistance she faces today is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to keep going. Destiny is never handed freely. It is fought for. The enemy only attacks what he knows he cannot stop. A woman chosen by God will often experience seasons of isolation. It is not rejection, it is preparation. When God is about to do something significant in her life, he separates her from the noise, the distractions, and sometimes even the people she once depended on. Isolation is not a punishment. It is an invitation to transformation. Throughout history, every great woman used by God had to go through a period of being set apart. Before Esther became queen, she spent time in preparation, hidden from the public eye. Before Ruth walked into her destiny, she endured loneliness and loss. Even Jesus, before beginning his ministry, was led into the wilderness. Separation always comes before elevation. In isolation, she learns to hear God's voice more clearly. When the people she trusted are no longer there, she realizes that her true strength comes from God alone. It is in this quiet place that he begins to refine her, to remove what is not needed, and to strengthen what is essential. The process is painful because it forces her to let go of things and people that can no longer go where she is headed. The isolation season teaches her resilience. It teaches her how to stand on her own, how to trust God when no one else understands, and how to move forward even when the path is uncertain. The relationships that fade, the doors that close, and the silence she experiences are not signs of abandonment. They are signs that God is preparing her for something greater. When the time is right, she will emerge stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever. What felt like loneliness was actually God's way of setting her apart, molding her into the woman he created her to be. A woman who carries a divine purpose will face moments where she feels weak, exhausted, and unable to continue. But it is in these moments that God's strength is revealed. True power is not found in her own ability, but in her surrender. When she reaches the end of herself, that is when God steps in. Her weakness is not a limitation. It is an invitation for divine intervention. God never chooses the strongest, the most qualified, or the ones who have it all together. He chooses those who are willing to rely on him completely. A woman who appears weak in the eyes of the world is often the very one God uses to accomplish great things. The moments when she feels broken, unworthy, and incapable are the moments when his power becomes undeniable in her life. Her struggles are not proof of failure, they are proof of transformation. Without weakness, she would never know what it means to depend on God. Without trials, she would never see his strength working through her. The very things that make her feel inadequate are the same things that God will use to display his glory. Every tear, every heartbreak, and every disappointment is an opportunity for him to reveal his power. The world teaches that strength is about independence, but divine strength is about dependence. Complete trust in God's ability to carry her through. It is not her strength that will sustain her, but his. It is not her wisdom that will guide her, but his. When she understands this, she will no longer fear weakness. She will embrace it, knowing that in her lowest moments, she is not alone. She is being carried by a strength that will never fail. A woman walking in her divine purpose must understand that no matter how fierce the battle, victory is already assured. The struggles she faces, the obstacles in her way, And the setbacks that try to hold her down are not signs of defeat. They are part of the process leading her to triumph. The outcome has already been determined. God does not lead his daughters into battles he has not already won. Every challenge she endures is not a question of whether she will overcome, but when. The delays, the betrayals, and the losses are not there to stop her. They are there to build her. She is not fighting for victory. She is fighting from a place of victory. The war has already been won. She is simply walking through the training ground that will prepare her to step fully into her destiny. The enemy will try to convince her that she is losing, that she is not strong enough, and that the burden is too heavy to bear. But these are lies. If she could see what God sees, she would know that her struggle is temporary, but her purpose is eternal. Every tear she has shed, every sleepless night, and every battle she has fought is leading to a breakthrough. Victory is not about avoiding hardship. It is about enduring it with faith, knowing that the promise is already secured. No weapon formed against her can prosper, no opposition can outlast her, and no storm can shake what God has already established. What she is facing today will soon become the testimony that strengthens others. She does not have to wonder if she will rise. She was created to rise. God, her destiny cannot be stolen, her purpose cannot be erased, and her victory cannot be undone. The strongest women are not those who have lived without struggle, but those who have endured it and emerged victorious. Every battle, every hardship, and every moment of isolation was never meant to break her, it was meant to build her. She is not defined by what she has suffered, but by how she has risen. The pain was not wasted. The pressure was not in vain. The opposition was never stronger than the purpose inside her. She must understand that God has never abandoned her, even in her weakest moments. He was strengthening her, preparing her for something far greater than she could see. Her battles were not signs of defeat, but confirmation that she is walking in divine purpose. She is a warrior, a leader, a woman refined by fire, yet unshaken by storms. She cannot afford to give up now. The victory is already written. The promise is already secured. What once felt like the end will soon be revealed as the beginning of something extraordinary. She must keep walking, keep believing, and keep pressing forward. She was never meant to be ordinary. She was chosen to be unstoppable.